Okay, let's keep talking about homework 3. This is question 13 to 18. So we have 4 pictures in question 13, and you figure the supply of online movie rentals, a decrease in the price of online movies sold by movie producers to rental outlets. Okay, so price drop, and Amazon, Apple, the rental outlets, will result in a change illustrated by the move from what? The movie producers basically provide and input the online movies to the rental outlets. So the price are charged by the rental outlets, who are the suppliers for this online movie rental markets. And then what we should be able to think about is that the input price for the online movies become lower for the rental outlets like Amazon and Apple. And then what kind of movement we should think about? It should be a movement in the supply, that is supply increase. The whole supply curve move to the right. Right? So you look at all the choices, think about which choice actually represent, right, an increase in the supply. Okay, question 14. This is supply of coconuts. Supply of coconuts. If the price of inputs, labor, fertilizer, and fuel used to produce and transport coconuts increased, the price of inputs goes up, then what happened, right? The price of inputs become more expensive, the supply curve will do what? It will shift to the right, to the left. Let me put another one, right? Shift to the left. That will be the result. And which one will give us that result? We need to figure it out. A to B, B to A, the first two choices, these two, these are movement along a supply curve, right? So if it's C to A, yeah, that is actually a possibility. C to A is a possibility because it's a represent a movement, right? Or at least a sample, a movement of a decrease in supply. Okay, and E to B though, actually we sort of need to do the opposite. E to B is actually what? More or less a increase in the supply, an example for increase the supply, right? So which one is what we want? Let's look at question 15. Which factor would cause an increase in the supply of a good? Increase in the supply. We just talked about increase in the input prices will decrease the supply. So choice A is obviously not what we are looking for. B, suppliers' expectation of higher prices in the future. Would that be C, an increase in the price of the good? That is a movement along the supply curve. Okay, when you change the price, that's a movement along the curve, not a shift of the curve. D, a decrease in the price of resources used in production, and that is one factor can increase the supply of a good. It will shift, do this kind of shift, right? The supply curve shift to the right, shift to the right. That's what we are talking about. Or like that, okay? So what about the supplier's expectation of higher prices in the future? then of course they will keep the inventory to sell into the future, right? Not to sell today. And that will more or less drive down the supply today, kind of shift it backwards, right? And probably even drive up today's price. So that's for question 15. Now look at question 16. Which factor would cause a leftward shift in the supply curve for a good? So again, supply curve, slope upwards, and then it shifts to the left. That's a decrease in the supply. So if we have two lines, right, what's going on is a shift to the left. Now think about it. An increase in the number of sellers, that is actually a redward shift in the supply curve. It's an increase in the supply. And then a technological improvement in production, still increasing the supply. C, an increase in the cost of an input. That's the example we've been talking about here in question 14. D, an increase in the number of buyers. Buyers, they are not the sellers. Sellers for supply, buyers for the demand. So that's why D is not a good answer. Now let's look at question 17. It's about the demand and supply of gasoline. Given the equilibrium after a change in supply from S1 to S2. So it's always 1 to 2, okay? That 1 to 2 means the 1 is the old one, 2 is the new one. That's the different curves. And what we have is increase the supply. And what's the result? Higher supply, price comes down, quantity, equilibrium quantity. This is the equilibrium quantity actually traded in the market. This equilibrium quantity increase. So that's what we see. And then how about A? At oil price of $2.50, there will be pressure for the price to fall. How about that? B, the new price will be what? Is that $2? Is that $2? Let's see, right? If you have a horizontal line at $2, is that the equilibrium point? The equilibrium point we're talking about is this point. Just circle that point. Okay, the new quantity will be what? 600. Let me show you where 600 is. 600 is this point. Is this $2 equilibrium price or 600 equilibrium quantity? D, the price will remain constant if the supply increase from S1 to S2. Will the price remain constant? What's the new equilibrium price? $1.50. What's the new equilibrium quantity? 400. Right? So should be pretty clear. Let's look at question 18. This is a table, the market for chocolate covered peanuts. A surplus of 210 bags of chocolate covered peanuts per month exists if the price is how much per bag? Now, where's the surplus? The surplus is quantity supplied. Let me actually write it down, right? We're looking for the surplus. Surplus. Quantity supplied minus quantity demanded. It need to be higher than 0. Higher than 0. Okay, that's what we are looking for. And it means the numbers in this column should be higher than the numbers in this column, right? Quantity demanded, right? Then you can have something like a surplus. That surplus should be 210. So actually, if we calculate as the start price at 0.9, that's 90 cents, right? Quantity supplied is what, 280, and the quantity demanded is 70. You got 210, and that is actually what we are looking for, right? 210 bags of surplus. Okay, a surplus of 210 bags of chocolate covered peanuts per month. Let's look at a little bit more in this table, right? So for example, we can change the question to where is the equilibrium. The equilibrium is actually at 60 cents per bag. The supply will be 175 and the quantity demanded will be 175. Also, if you kind of move it a little bit, say at 40 cents, if you think about 40 cents at 0.4, right, what we have? The quantity supplied is only 105 bags, and then the quantity demanded will be 245 bags. It means we have a negative 140 bags of what? Shortage. Quantity demanded higher than quantity supplied. We need 140 bags at this price level. So if the market price for chocolate covered peanuts is only 40 cents, people buy them from fly off the shelves, and you put more in and it keeps flying off the shelf until, right, you put in 140 bags, the market can clear. But, right, who's gonna put that in? Not the supplier. The supplier at this very low price, 40 cents a bag, they only want to produce, or they only want to provide 105 bags. That's for question 18. So this is the third section, question 13 to 18 for homework 3.